This week on TGC News, Sig bulks up the X5, armor piercing crowdfunding, subsonic 22, inaccurate uppers, a 45 SMG from LWRC, and more. Kel-Tec offers some of the most interesting and innovative firearms in recent memory. Whether you're into bullpup rifles like the RDB or RFB, or maybe the KSG bullpup shotgun in short or gigantic configuration, or maybe you just want to plink around with some pistol caliber stuff like the Sub 2000 or PF9. They make something affordable for everyone. To learn more, check out keltecweapons.com. Welcome back to another episode of TGC News, the only gun news show that covers things you actually care about. Shout out to everyone that hits like on this video. Last week, we absolutely crushed that 5,000 like mark, so let's try to get that up to, 10K this week. First up in the news, Sig Sauer has dropped a very interesting version of the P320 X5. Now, the X5, as it normally comes, is a nice gun. It's got some fancy, sort of tuned up features. This new one, called the X5 Legion, is intended to be the best sport shooting pistol around. I'll break it down for you guys. They've added aluminum base plates to the mags, and you get 3 mags. Not a big deal, but it is a nice addition. The idea with these is a little added weight, so they drop out of the gun faster, and a lot of times you get more rounds in the mag, but in this case you only get 17. They've also reduced the trigger pull weight by about 25% while still keeping it above 3.5 pounds for certain competition rules. It's still a flat trigger that breaks at 90 degrees, and I love that. It's also skeletonized because why not, right? Gotta make people feel like they're getting something unique. They've also modified the recoil assembly on the X5 Legion. Instead of a normal setup, they have a single-piece steel guide rod, and they utilize a 1911 spring. It comes with a 14-pound spring installed and a 12-pound spring in the box. It's a non-captive unit, meaning the spring comes off of the guide rod, so you have the ability to finely tune the gun for your barely pooping out of the gun competition loads. And here's the kicker, the thing that really matters here. They found a way to incorporate tungsten powder into the polymer mix for the grip module.
Life will not be contained. Life finds a way.
Thus creating one of the heaviest polymer alloys used on a gun. In their overview video, they say that the grip module alone weighs almost a pound by itself. So what that leaves you with is a flexible polymer frame gun that weighs as much as a steel gun. What that further means is that with everything on board, the gun weighs in at 43.5 ounces. For reference, that is a half an ounce heavier than the Walther Q5 match steel frame gun that came out earlier this year. However, the Walther has an MSRP of $13.99. The Sig has an MSRP of $8.99. For the money, there may not be a better choice out there for an out-of-the-box competition-ready pistol. I can't think of a gun that has that weight, has the feature package, and the tunability. And that leaves me wondering, is this tungsten-embedded polymer or TXG grip module material as earth-shattering as Sig is claiming? Does it make you excited about this new gun? If this technology starts to spread across the industry, I think we could see some really interesting things come out of it. But I don't know if that's going to happen. We also don't know how that material is going to hold up over time or how it will handle repeated heat cycling. I guess time will tell, but for now, I'm pretty excited about that. Next up this week, a new startup company with a less than standard approach. The company itself is called Atlas Arms, and it's being head up by this guy, Austin Thomas Jones. I'll try to keep this short because the presentation video is a bit long-winded and sort of self-aggrandizing. Jones has a background in engineering and, along with some other folks, has decided to make a true armor-piercing projectile, which are currently banned, and try to kick the ATF in the face. He essentially says in his video that he wants to use alternative materials to circumvent the regulations. He also claims that even though there are a few loads that will defeat what he calls cheap body armor, this new one will defeat it without issue. On top of that, they claim that once the project is done, because They intend to utilize a 3D printer as part of the manufacturing process, that all the things they learn, all the IP, will be shared with the public in a similar manner to 3D printed firearms. And to do this, Mr. Jones claims that they need to raise $30,000 of your money. Yep, crowdfunding. Great. Because screw using your own money to potentially fail, put it on the backs of hopeful consumers, right? As with typical crowdfunding campaigns, there are rewards, but these are not great. For $20, you get news and updates about the project. For $50, you get a bullet keychain on top of the lower level. For $100, you get a box of ammo when it's done and the lower levels. For $500, you get a phone call and 5 boxes of ammo. For $1,000, you get a video call and a total of 15 boxes of ammo and the rest of the other junk. And for $5,000, you get flown out to visit them while they work on things, which seems like a way to cut $1,000 out of that very donation right away. And on top of that, they claim that in order to take this an additional step farther and actually produce commercial ammo, they'll need another $30,000 on top of that. I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. I love the idea of giving the finger to the ATF, but why should consumers pay for it and arguably get very little in return? On top of that, what would stop a different forward-thinking ammo company from doing this without crowdfunding it? I love the idea of making ammo that the government thinks only the government should have, but is it not unrealistic to think that the ATF will put a stop to it and modify the regulations to suit the newly coined projectiles? After all, you did say in the promo video that you're trying to circumvent regulations. They can see that too. I also have suspicions that the $30,000 will come and go in a very short time frame, and they will come back looking for more money and maybe never deliver. Remember that company Ideal Conceal that made that cell phone pistol? That was a very, hey, come invest in us type situation as well. And that train wreck has been happening since 2016, and it's still not in full production. Are we going to see that kind of crap happening with this and have people's money kind of just in limbo? There's no way to know. All of the risk is on the back of the people that donate, and that is simply not fair. I think crowdfunding has merit in certain situations, but this is not one of them. What do you guys think? Am I being too hard on them because they're crowdfunding, or am I spot on? Let me know down in the comments. It's time for more rapid fire. I think I need to go film myself on a minigun for that opening. What do you guys think? Okay, here we go. First up, the LWRC SMG-45. A sort of modernized take on the HK-UMP-45 has started shipping. We covered this back in May, and in short order, they've got these things moving out the door, and one can be yours for a mere $3,000. CCI has introduced a new type of .22 ammo. If you are familiar with their lineup, you know the quietest stuff they make is called Quiet 22. It only exits the muzzle at about 750 feet per second, well below the supersonic threshold. However, these would almost never cycle a semi-auto, definitely not reliably, even with a suppressor on the gun, which is pretty disappointing. They've now changed that with a new Quiet 22 semi-auto version, seemingly by bumping up the speed to 835 feet per second. I definitely need to get some of that to test out. Next up, a company called Taccom, most well known for their competition gun parts, have released a new 9mm PCC buffer. It's called the Delayed Blowback Recoil System, and essentially they are utilizing neodymium magnets to delay the unlocking and rearward movement of a 9mm PCC bolt, and thus change the recoil impulse. Pricing on that is $150, and rounding us out, you can now buy a horribly inaccurate 300 blackout upper for your AR for a mere $780. Franklin Armory has announced their 0x0 twist 300 blackout upper, and if it's anything like the 5.56 variant of the Reformation, it will be a novelty at best. What's weird is that even though it's terrible, I kind of want one for the chuckle factor. Do I have a problem? And now it's time for a segment here on TGC News called Patton's Armory. I'm going to grab one of my personal guns and tell you about it. This is my Thompson Center Encore, and it is chambered in 500 Magnum. Now, this is special to me for a couple reasons. One, it's got a 16-inch barrel. It starts out as a 20, and they chopped it back and threaded it for a suppressor, so it's a suppressed 500 Magnum single shot. And it also has this Cryptek, I think it's Neptune camo dip on the stock. It's also been tuned up by my friends over at House of Arms. I know those guys. I've known them for a very long time. They're good friends of mine, and it's special because they made this special for me. Obviously, it doesn't have an optic on here now, but I've killed a pig with this particular gun, and also did a video with IV8888 testing out how far a 500 Magnum will kill, and I think we were able to hit targets out to 650 yards with this ridiculous little gun. It's very small, and it's very lightweight, but it is freaking cool from top to bottom. It doesn't have a name, but it does kind of matter to me in my collection because it was a gift from personal friends. So that's pretty cool. There it is. If you guys enjoyed this look at this gun, leave a comment and let me know what you want to see next. You know, guys, I've been thinking about getting a hybrid lately. No, not the kind of hybrid you're thinking. The handmade in the USA kind of hybrid with leather and Kydex. The kind that is available for just about every popular handgun on the planet. The kind that's comfortable when you put it on and comfortable all day, even if you're a big guy. I might need a belt to go with it too. Crossbreed holsters will definitely check those boxes. And if you use the code TGC15 over at crossbreedholsters.com, you'll get a whopping 15% off your entire order. It's time now for More Friendly Fire, the segment where I answer your questions from all over the interwebs. This week, our questions are coming from our Instagram stories. I asked for questions and you guys delivered. Stuck Not Custom says, what is the #1 thing on your gun industry bucket list? That's pretty tough. I've been very fortunate to have shot a lot of really cool guns, and I think it would either have to be ripping off a few mags out of an FG42, I've talked about that a bunch on the show, or maybe going on a hunt for a Spirit Bear. Those are just beautiful. Power Level Productions says, why do monocore baffles in suppressors behave differently than stacked baffles? The simplest way to explain it, as I understand it, is that the baffles are shaped differently, clearly, and handle the gases differently, clearly. The methods for production are not super similar between the two, and therefore you get different end results. Sean Slap says, if you could change one thing about gun culture in America, what would it be? That is also a very tough question. I think the thing that would be the wisest to change would be folks' enthusiasm for getting involved in the political process surrounding guns. We have a very hard time getting people to use their voices and get involved. From there, I'd make sure that folks get an education on how to effectively communicate with someone on the other side. Both of those things are not great in our community. My friendly fire question to you guys this week, by the way, shout out to you guys for all the great answers last week. My question this week, if the world collapsed tomorrow, would you have enough ammunition? Sound off in the comments down below, and if you want to ask a friendly fire question, send that to me on theguncollective.com. And that is it for this week's show. Guys, if you disliked the video, hit that button. If you liked it, hit like, get subscribe, and consider supporting us via the links in the video description. Be sure to check out our deal of the week over on our website, theguncollective.com. We have an Amazon affiliate store as well, and we also have a second YouTube channel called TGC Surplus. Head over there, get subscribed, and as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. Yep, it's over, but don't worry, you can click on the video up top to watch last week's show, and the one below that is the one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Check them out and let me know what you think.